love.
And that space in between.
Why is it important to all of us?
There is so much more in between these bookends.
For all of us, it's essential.
To allow people to see us, that is true belonging.
We are creating the acceptance of this experience.
Without it, everything else is meaningless.
Hello, hello, hello. It is time to wish everybody happy Pride. We are starting a brand new month at Soul Evolution Collaborative, and it's June, which is Pride Month. So we are proud to be part of this celebration. Tonight, we're doing things a little bit different than we normally do. We are talking about the space between, how we incorporate this for everyone and really bringing it together. And I know for me, it's a chance to really go deep into these subjects. And this week, we are talking about the theme of love and how that relates to our Pride family, how it relates to the individual, and how it relates to everyone. So this is really a pretty powerful subject. We are very excited about it. We've got exciting things coming up that we'll talk about a little more. But for our intro, we are kicking off here with a blessing. And this is a blessing written by our own Reverend Ryan. And we are happy to share this each week. And here we go.
Tonight, we honor the space in between, knowing that it is not void, but instead houses the strength and resilience of our collective experience. We celebrate those individuals within the LGBTQIA+ community who have and continue to pave the way so that a little more truth and goodness can seep into our collective experience.
Tonight, we celebrate and honor the presence of love, a love that bridges the space in between, a love that seeks, a love that embraces, a love that exists beyond the barrier we have created. This love in all its forms speaks to the truth of our essence, a truth that is not diminished by the limits that we as individuals often place upon it.
Tonight, we celebrate those individuals whose love has bridged the gap between our own fragile hearts and the truth of love. We stand with all individuals who tirelessly work for and live this truth out loud. We see you, we honor you. Happy Pride.
Life Out Loud. This week, we are celebrating love. And I know the last thing we need is another straight white guy telling us how we should celebrate love during the month of Pride, or perhaps ever. But one thing I do know is that I have been privileged enough to have been able to live life out loud my whole life. And as long as there is a part of society that says that's not okay for everybody, I am going to stand up and say that it needs to be okay for everybody. And so I am here today celebrating life out loud with you, with everybody, knowing that love is not just this A or B that society has claimed it to be for so long, but love is this full, limitless, and boundless spectrum. And so that is what I have learned through celebrating Pride with my LGBTQIA+ family, is that love is a spectrum. There is so much more in between these bookends, these limiting ideas of what love is. It has expanded my awareness, expanded my capacity to love, to share love, to include people in love. And so I from this perspective, understand the importance of celebrating boundlessly the importance of love within this family, within this community of people, that we are celebrating this boundless version of love together. And I stand here strongly knowing that there is an experience of love, openly expressed love for everyone. This experience is now available to everyone. I declare that now, that there is a shifting in collective consciousness, that there is love, an expression of love, whatever pulls on our heartstrings to love in that way, that this is known openly and accepted everywhere. We are creating the acceptance of this experience by celebrating this love, by taking the time each year to specifically celebrate love in this way. We are creating a shift in the collective consciousness. And so as long as there is somewhere in the mentality of our culture that this is unacceptable, I will stand up here again and again and again every time to say, we are changing, we are making a shift, we are accepting that everyone is allowed to express love in the way that they are called to express love. It is a full spectrum. It is not A or B. And we all benefit from this full expression of love.
Well, I love that you started out with the straight white guy part.
Yeah, I kind of had to. I think that was probably like my 50th take at this segment. And eventually kind of just came around to like that was really hard, actually.
Yeah.
Because it felt like there was so much I wanted to say, and yet everything I tried to say fell short of what needed to be said. Right? I was like, I don't know what place do I stand on to give that message? And yet, kind of just like took a pause, scrapped everything, turned within and said, all right, this is what I know. And
not a bad place to start. But my question is, when you talked about the love as a spectrum, I wondered what's the thing that, if you look back and kind of like the evolution of your understanding of this and love and its many expressions, and what was the turning point and like influenced kind of that shift into understanding love as a spectrum, or has it always been there?
Wow. I want to say there has always been a nudge for me that it's always been more than has most commonly been talked about, mm-hmm. or, most commonly displayed, right? That growing up, love was, a married couple kind of thing, right? And what the hell did that look like? I mean, that was not, so it was like, here's this word, here's how we talk about it, but this is what it looks like. What?
That's a little short too.
Yeah, for sure. And so, I think it was, just having the experience going through all that and having, this practice, this teaching that we turn back to, like being self-reflective and looking at the things that weren't working, looking at the things that were working, and kind of just realizing, even the love that was talked about growing up was not really that. So it was even having to rediscover that, like, what is love between a man and a woman? What is love between any two people? Romantic love, right? What is that? And then really being in a teaching that embraces love between people in all of the different ways, like love between friends. 15 years ago, I wouldn't have been able to tell a friend that I loved them. And now we're like on a daily basis, the three of us, like, oh my God, I love you guys so much. Like, where would we be without each other? What would we be doing? Right. So I don't know there was a specific time, but I think it's a natural, logical progression. Like you if you give it any thought, you end up, I think everyone ends up with a very similar journey through what love looks like in all the different ways.
Right.
Or at least I hope. I hope. I hope we do.
Well, I like the answer, and I like the spot too. I hadn't seen your segment yet, so I kind of laughed out loud, and I had to like mute myself because it was a good one.
Cool.
I love that idea. I lost my train of thought now, but where did I go? It was well done, and I really like the idea that what was love ever. I like also what you mentioned about how where we at it in a different place nowadays. Like, how can we ever fault any more expressions of love, affection? You know, like you said, even like on a friend level, on a partner level, or whatever. Like, how can anybody ever fault more of that? It's really hard and sad to see people that would rather cut off a family member, cut off a relationship because it wasn't their image, it didn't fit in their mind, it made them feel uncomfortable. That to me is just the saddest thing. So we're definitely moving into a direction where more love is better.
Yeah
That's where I was going with it. I forgot for a second.
You got there. So love and that space in between. So when we think about this, and when I think about this as an individual, like, what does it mean to receive this love? This love that we're talking about that surrounds and infuses not only us, but those spaces between ourselves and everyone else. And so we talk a lot about giving love, and that's the fun part, and that's the easy part sometimes. But on the flip side of that, on the individual level, equally important is that ability to receive love. And in the science of mind, we talk about this reciprocal nature of the universe, the in-breath and the out-breath. And that's the same with love. It's that giving and receiving. And when we're able to fully receive love, to fully stand in our worthiness, fully stand in our value, fully stand in our awareness of who and what we are, then it creates this expansion so that this love can flow in us, so that we can receive love from all of those amazing individuals around us. Those friends, those partners, those people that support us, the people that uphold us, and people that value who and what we are. And so this creates this expansion within us to allow more and more of that love to come and to receive that. Because in that vulnerability, which that is a super hard thing to do, to receive love and to be willing to do that, we have to be super vulnerable to show who and what we are to those people around us. And sometimes that can be scary because there's some things that I kind of want to keep hidden. But to be able to bring those things to the light and say, this is who and what I am, and to be loved anyway, creates a sense of amazing connection. And through this vulnerability, we have connection. And through that connection, we have true belonging. And we know what that feels like. We've had it in either our family of origin or our family of choice or our partners or friends and people that surround us. We know what that feels like. That sense of belonging where we can show up just as we are. That we don't have to fit in or earn anything or be a certain way in order to receive this or to receive love. But to simply show up with all of our stuff. And to allow people to see us. That is true belonging. And so that's the place that inhabits this space in between. So we have to be willing to be seen. We have to be willing to receive love. And then we will experience the most amazing transformative effects of this thing that infuses all of us. To show up, to be seen, to be loved, just as we are.
That is absolutely beautiful. Show up and be seen just as we are. It makes me think about a lot of people that for some reason aren't ready for that for everybody. And it makes me think that, there's something in them that hasn't been able to be shown up and be seen as they are. So, maybe something that it's that whole idea of, equal rights for everyone somehow makes them feel like they're losing some of their rights. And I feel like maybe that's where it's coming from, like a spot that feels, hurt. Or, not ever to fully express themselves as subconsciously they feel they are. So I'm blown away by the courage that it takes for people to have, like you said, so vulnerable and put themselves out there. Anybody that's had to come out to their family or come out to friends or colleagues. What would you offer as advice to somebody that maybe hasn't acknowledged, anything within themselves that they've been holding back, any mask that they have to wear? How do you offer courage to those who have never embraced courage?
You're supposed to do easy questions. Let's see.
Man.
Well, I think, and I can only speak from my own personal experience, and I can only speak, from what I know. But what I do know is that this whole idea of kind of showing up and plopping your stuff down, I think that it's a process. And I think that it's also good to understand that not everyone is deserving of that process. I'm not going to come and bring and lay my stuff down in front of people who haven't earned that. So it is a process of relationship building. It's a process of being willing to be open to that. But it also is a process of understanding those individuals that it's safe to do it with. That may not be everyone. But I do think that this vulnerability is not like a flip of a switch that you could turn off and on. I think it is this gradual expansion and understanding. And I think it's rooted in being really clear from your own space of where you're standing. So if I'm really clear on the ground about the ground that I'm standing on, then I can take that anywhere, regardless of what someone else may say. So I think at first it's just this process of being really just kind of sitting with yourself and sitting with like who and what you are. And that may take a minute. I mean, Lord, I'm 44 years old. It's taken me about 43 years to just kind of be able to be open to that. But just really standing from that space and understanding that it is a process, as well it should be. It's a journey, and I think it is a journey of connecting with others, finding safety with others. And I think this is in all aspects, not just coming out or anything like that, but just allowing yourself to be seen, which it can be a hard thing because there's a lot of things that we like to keep in our back pocket that we don't want people to see, and healing around those spaces. And bringing those spaces, I think, into the light. It's really interesting. Some of the things that I wanted so much to keep hidden, when I brought them into the light, whether it's a light of friends being able to know me in a different way, that stuff that had all this power it seemed kind of tiny and powerless once I brought it to the light of truth and love, and especially in community. So I think that's important, but it is a journey. And we're all in different places at it. And I think there's just to kind of be patient with the process, which sometimes is the hardest thing to do.
Thank you.
Wow. You have powerful people. Two of you. Moving all kinds of stuff in me right now. Chris, what you said in the beginning, and then Ryan, how you just kind of wrapped it up for me. This idea of, showing up as you are, it's kind of interesting for me to look at, this version of love that I briefly talked about earlier, about growing up with, this is what love is supposed to look like. And it had none of that. There was no authenticity in what love looked like. And so, yeah, Chris, I think it is threatening to have people showing up in all walks of life who are now willing to authentically be in love and show up authentically with all of their stuff. And I think learning to do that for anyone is probably really challenging. That's probably one of our most challenging hurdles in life, I would think, is to, really be in a relationship with somebody where you can put down all of your boundaries and walls and be like, here, hold this for me. Let's hold this together, right? Like everything else in life says, no, like pack those walls on, build that up, be strong, and don't show anything, right? So to unpack all that and deconstruct all of those beliefs and take down those walls and just stand there like, okay.
Oof.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like that reoccurring dream of like being naked in the cafeteria, that sort of vulnerability. Not that I've had that dream, but you know what I'm saying. But that sort of vulnerability, it's hard.
Yeah. And then to be willing to engage in that, to have any two people reciprocate that and know that, there are times where we're going to be human and make mistakes and mess that up a little bit. And you kind of learn to recognize which relationships are the glass balls that you can't drop and which ones are the rubber ones that if it drops and bounces a little bit, it's going to be okay. It's going to bounce back.
Yeah.
I was not taught that growing up.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't taught or modeled that. And
Yeah.
I think what's interesting, it's so challenging on this front end, but man, the effects of like truly being seen and seen on the back end of that is like transformative, like life-changing, like, yeah, I mean, and I think that's just an amazing place to live from, that space.
Yeah.
Here.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. So we are certainly not done yet, but we do like to just kind of pause in the middle of this and thank you all for watching, whether you are watching live, whether you are watching sometime in the future. For you is right now. We are super glad to be in this conversation with you, super grateful for you, your support, whether it's watching this, whether it's diving into the content on the website, participating Tuesday nights here or Thursday nights at the gathering, whatever way that looks like. Thank you so much. Thank you. We are really blessed to have basically what we look at as the best job in the world, to be here talking with all of you, sharing in this conversation with all of you, and to see this growth, to be part of changing this collective consciousness of the world. It's pretty amazing. And so, of course, we are supported by you in every way, including financially. And if you are in a place where you are able to give financially to support this mission, we are equally as grateful for you and that gift. And so if you do care to hop over to soulevolutioncollaborative.org, you can make a financial gift there using the donate button. And we are super grateful for any way that you are able to show up and support this mission.
Love. Why is it important to all of us? Well, I say without it, everything else is meaningless. Literally. What's the point of doing anything if we don't love it? What's the point of being with someone if we don't love them? How can we experience greater things in life if we don't love ourselves? Love for all of us is essential. Now, the human species, we are a communal species. We need each other. It's part of our evolution. It's part of our survival of the species. Without it, without love, without community, we die. If we went the hardcore, like rugged individualist kind of pathway, society would crumble overnight. Absolutely. We can't do it alone. We are created to work with each other. And love is what it is that compels us to do that. It is in our DNA. When we do good things for somebody else, we get a chemical, a physiological upgrade, download of all those chemicals that we feel good. It's a reinforcer saying, yes, this is how you do it. Yes, this is how you survive as a species. So love for all of us is essential. Now, for the longest time in society, we had what we thought, or what the majority of people, the controlling majority, thought was working just fine. Oh, we love everybody. We love everybody. But when somebody was different, well, they were ostracized. So we found ways to not include them, or discriminate, or even just outright express hate. I mean, it's been awful, a lot of the things that we've seen in our society in my own lifetime that we still see today. Pretty awful. So we know that we have got to move beyond that. We are all one. And I'm very optimistic because we are seeing the voices of the marginalized speak up louder and louder. We are seeing more and more people that are allying with those that are realizing really deep within us, we all have varying degrees of different traits and qualities. And that's what makes us all so beautiful, so diverse. There's no two people on this planet, they're exactly the same. And it's all in varying degrees of all these wonderful different qualities. And so as we realize that the beauty lies in the differences, that is when we open up to the world that is so much more beautiful. I am so grateful for where I'm at. I have changed so much in my many years of experience on this planet. And every time that I choose love, that I choose to open up and just say, what's possible here? What's the truth here? What really matters? I am enriched and enriched and enriched. I know so many wonderful people. And if I would have stayed my closed-minded self that I was like 30 years ago, if I would have stayed thinking kind of like with the herd, running with the pack and just kind of spewing the same messages that they did without ever becoming critical and thinking for myself, like what is real, what really matters, what feels right, I would still be trapped in that old way of thinking. And what a shallow, boring life I would have been living for this last 3 decades plus. So love, it's what we need. It's the only thing that's going to help us get forward, and it's essential. So for me, I know it's about accepting everybody, which is easy to do. It becomes a challenge when it's those that hold views that are so counter to ours, and ones that I call the haters. That's the hardest part for me, is to, how do we love somebody who refuses to love everybody? That's kind of that dichotomy right there. If I refuse to love somebody because they don't love somebody, then I'm doing the same thing. So for me, it's radical love and acceptance for everybody, while still being the advocate and ally for those who are sometimes marginalized and discriminated against for being loving. It's pretty easy to decide which side I want to be on, but ultimately it comes down to I'm on the human side. And as I can have conversations with more compassion, more patience, and more peace, then I know that we are moving towards love. It's that simple question. It's kind of like the old thing of WWJD, but it's WWLD. What would love do? What leads to more love? And that is the only way that we're ever going to get forward on this planet. So for what it's worth, I just wish nothing but love for every single one. And as we open up to more of that, more of it returns. It's the one thing that the more that you give away, the more you return. And as we express this and model this for others, that's the way forward. So love for all of us. Without it, everything else is meaningless.
I love that idea of you spoke to it really well, Chris, of holding that dichotomy of, it being really easy to know what side you want to be on, and then also recognizing that there are not sides, right? Like it seems so much in the world of condition and in what we see in front of us. It so much appears like there are sides, and if there were to be sides, let's be on the side of love, and at the same time to know that there are no sides, that we're all in this together, that there is only one of us, there is only one group of us. How do you work through that, like on a daily basis? Like how does that show up? What is your process for like catching yourself? Because I mean I know we all do it. We all have those moments of like them, me, right? Like what does that look like for you?
Your question nails it, because that's exactly what I was thinking as I was watching through. I'm like, I kind of forgot to mention, like the spiritual principle behind all this. So, I mean, your question definitely gets right to it. You picked up on what I was realizing I had missed in the recording. That's, I mean, absolutely it is. We have to constantly remind ourselves that we are all children of the infinite, children of the divine, whatever you want to call it. We all come from that one life, that one source of all that is, that there really is no separation. We are living in this world of duality, which makes us feel like there's huge separation sometimes. And, it's easy to get, I shouldn't call people the haters, the people that are choosing less love right now, but they're all still children of the divine. And so that's kind of the spiritual practice there, is to go within and do whatever it takes to feel that unity, to feel that oneness when we get triggered. And then when we want to be that ally, that advocate, when it's our time to speak up, when we see something that we see somebody telling wrong jokes, see somebody mistreating somebody or talking about somebody that's wrong, remembering our oneness as we speak up on behalf, so we can do it in a way that's not going to instantly just shut down the conversation and somebody gets their identity challenged, that they're called some name, that they're called a hater. Nobody wants to be called a hater, and that's why I shouldn't do it, is because people that just don't know yet or are not choosing that path of love. So then as I try to advocate, I do it from a place of recognition and compassion and realize everybody's where they're at, and not everybody's going to be where I think they need to be right now, but holding steadfast to, yes, I'm moving towards more love. Yes, I want to advocate for more love, and I want to do it from a place of more love. And it takes work. It's a daily practice to keep myself into that place to where I don't get triggered as easy, when I don't react. And I'm far from perfect on that. I definitely get triggered. There's a lot of pain and a lot of hate out there that makes it tough.
Yeah.
I like what you said, though. What would love do? As a lifetime church kid, I mean, we had those bracelets, those "What would Jesus do" bracelets. Oh my God, I went through probably hundreds of those in my span of years. But yeah, I mean, that idea of what would love do? I mean, I think that kind of hits on it. Like when in these moments where it seems like there is this side to choose. Or in those moments where we feel this whatever welling up with us, like there's some sort of opposition, like what would love do in this moment? And so I think, those bracelets worked because they worked, because it did. It was something to shift your awareness from where you were standing and knowing that you wanted to stand and live from this space. So that whole idea of like, what would love do, like in this moment? And I think, how can we go wrong if throughout our day, when we have those moments, we stop, breathe, and say, what would love do in this moment? That could like solve everything if everybody on the planet did that. Like how amazing would that be? Chris, you may have in fact started some sort of world global movement. We should now start rolling off the what would love do bracelets.
That's our mission, right?
Yeah, it's my own personal mission too. To do that and to look at those areas where I'm not doing that, and then put more attention in those areas.
I love you both. I'm not afraid to say it.
Lots of nothing but love. Nothing but love. Well, speaking of love, we love all of you, and thank you so much for spending a little bit of time with us tonight. So if you would like to explore this topic further, and let me tell you, there's so much more to kind of dive into this idea of love and what it means to stand in this space between, what love means for us as individuals and how we can give and receive, and how that will impact us as a community. So there's so many things to talk about. So if you'd like to hang out with some pretty cool people, talk about some really deep and powerful stuff, and then learn some ways to actually take that stuff and live it in your everyday life, join us on Thursdays for the gathering. So you can go to sign up for the gathering at soulevolutioncollaborative.org and just click on that event and sign up at the sign up page for that. And then you will automatically receive a link, and then you will be in. So as Dan said, the Soul Evolution Collaborative is made possible by people like you. People that not only support us through financially, but also supporting us through prayer and showing up and supporting us and giving your wisdom and your love and your support. But once again, if you're in a place where you'd like to donate financially to this mission and to this ministry, go over to soulevolutioncollaborative.org. That is where all the action is at, and click on the donate button. All donations are tax deductible and greatly appreciated. Now, this month we're doing something new, and I think if you go to our website, which I've already said, soulevolutioncollaborative.org, you will find the Pride Wall. So each week we are going to be offering blessings around the topic of the week, and so you can fill out that form, and then your blessings will be put on the Pride Wall, so we can recognize not only the Pride community, but us as supporters and allies and community members. So this week, our topic is love. So go right up there and all the blessings around the topic of love. So thank you once again for joining us. We will see some of you Thursday night, and everyone else, we'll see you next week. Have a